Well, welcome back to the Connect Show, Texas. So we are in for a treat, you at home as well. Gay Gaddis joins us on your Saturday. So excited to jump into it. So, Gay, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This is a real delight. Your energy level is very inspiring.
Well, your success and your background inspires us as well. So, I want to talk
Yes.
about T3. Now, you led this organization, you founded it for more than 30 years, growing it to the largest female owned, ooh, Women's History Month, ow,
Woo!
largest female owned advertising agency in the entire country. Now, I admire you so much because I'm in a place where I'm building something, and I would, right, ladies, don't we want it to be the largest in the country? So, Gay, you've got to tell us, how did you start T3? What made it so unique to where you were able to grow in such a way?
Well, let's dial back to when I started it. It was in 1989. And a lot
Mhm.
of you don't remember this, but Texas was in a very deep recession.
Mm.
Things were failing, and it was a very tough time. And here I was in Austin, Texas, working for a company that was losing business. And I decided, you know what? I can do it a better way.
Mm.
So I cashed in a $16,000 IRA. That's all the money I had, and
Mm.
sunk it into this little business, T3. And at the time, we didn't really need another ad agency in Austin, Texas. And if you also dial back, Austin was a very sleepy little town in
Mhm.
1989, not much going on. But I was determined I could not fail. Failure was not an option. My family depended on it. And so we started on this journey. And I knew that we had to do the best work we could. We started working with hospitals because they were spending money at the time, and
Yes.
then picked up other business. We picked up a big account for us back in 1992, Dell. And
Mm.
with Dell, we started developing some of the very first successful online marketing campaigns in the country. And that's how we started to scale our business. When we talk about you want to grow, well, how do you scale a business? You do it by being innovative. And we were taking some of the digital learnings we had and parlaying that into some other larger companies. And I had to get out and knock on doors, but we sold the business that way, and it was meaning selling our work and working for great companies.
That is incredible, Gay. I am so inspired. I'm sure everyone watching is just so inspired and full of hope that if you did it, you gave everything you could, everything you had to this amazing empire. And how did you thrive in times of change? And what was one of the toughest times in your career as a business owner?
Well, there's nothing constant but change, and we know that. We have to live in ambiguity. And I used to tell my team, our mantra is just thrive in ambiguity because things are always changing, and you have to expect that and then just create new things out of it. But I did face some really tough times. I won't be kidding you if I told you otherwise. I mean, there were some good days and bad days. Uh,
Mhm.
one of the big things that happened to us was having to roll through some very tough recessions. And
Mhm.
when that happened, if some of you are familiar with the advertising and marketing business, those budgets get cut first. So when a
Yes.
recession's coming, when the downturn hits, the first phone call they make is to the ad agency or to the marketing teams and say, we're cutting the budgets. So we had to learn to rock and roll with that, and it was tough. But I did have a very, very specific incident that happened in 2008, and it happened on February the 14th. I call it the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, actually.
Mhm.
Oh,
We had been working with Dell, as I mentioned. We started working with Dell in 1992, and so here we were, 16 years into the relationship, and they decided one day that they wanted us to sell the company. They wanted me to sell my company and sell to another big advertising holding company because that's who they had decided to consolidate their business with. And they walked in and told me that was a deal, and I said no. But what everyone on this call and everyone watching this has to understand is that was a very difficult decision to make. Not
Mhm.
only was Dell a longtime trusted partner and a very big part of who we were, they were literally too big of our business, too big of a piece of our business. They were $70 million in revenue at the time. That's a lot of money.
oh my
And
gosh.
to say no was walking away from the 70 million. It was incredibly difficult. But one of the things that I did immediately that I think everyone should take heart and listen to is that I called my entire team. outside into our parking lot and told them as soon as the news was going to hit, because I knew if I didn't tell them myself that they would find out on the street, so to speak, and it would be devastating. So I let them know that we were going to be parting ways with Dell. So that was the bad news. That was a really big piece of bad news, and it almost killed me. I'm not kidding you. It was one of the most difficult things I've ever been through. And so we decided that we were going to survive and that we were going to go out and get new business. And my team got behind me. We did have layoffs. It was tough. And then a recession followed, but we were able to sell all the great things that we had learned doing internet marketing to some fabulous Fortune 100, 200 companies. And so at that point, we were working with Chase, with Marriott Corporate, began working with Allstate, UPS, and our story started to really unfold then. So through a bad situation, we turned it into a good one. And it actually was good for us to diversify our account portfolio the way we had to do.
Gay, that is
That gave
so
me goosebumps.
inspiring.
I
And that,
know,
yeah,
it made
yeah.
me
And
cry.
that is so inspiring and it's so powerful. Cowgirl Power. Tell us about your book.
Aha, see, I always have one handy. You never know. Yeah, this is a book that's really an interesting start to it because fortunately I can write. And I grew up doing ready writing classes in high school and have continued to write for Fortune and Forbes and just enjoy writing. So the task of writing a book was not as daunting to me as it would be for some people. And a lot of business books are actually not written by the author, they're written by a ghostwriter. But I did write this one myself because I felt like it was time, and this was published in 2018. I felt it was time to tell a story of building a business from the ground up. And I wanted women to be inspired and to have confidence and courage. And I wanted to give them my advice, my hard learned, hard knocks advice of going through business all these years and growing a business and working with some of these big companies. So the book is full of advice. It's an entrepreneur story, but it's also got some historic cowgirls in there, which are pretty amazing women that I wanted to give a little nod to because I'm a cowgirl myself. And I grew up with horses, and I've been a rancher all my life.
Well, Gay, I was already obsessed with you just from the internet and like social media, but now I'm like dying. Okay. You have done so many things. You've built something so incredible. And wow, like I'm just touching the screen, getting all of that energy over here. Because I'm a mom too. I have twins that are 3. I have a 6-year-old, and you were a working mother as well. So, what advice do you have for moms and females in general juggling all the things?
Yes, I have 3 children, and fortunately, they have all grown and done pretty darn well. And that's what the statistics show us. It's so hard. I'm going to tell you, moms out there, I know how hard it is when you have these little children. And sometimes, if you do have to travel or you have to go to a business meeting or have to do something, it's tough. And I can remember my daughter literally glued to the front window one morning, crying her eyes out as I drove out of the driveway, and it tears your heart apart. But this was back before, cell phones and some of those things. So I got to the office and I called the babysitter and I said, "Oh my gosh, how's Rebecca doing?" And she said, "Oh, as soon as you drive out of the driveway, she came in and started eating her Cheerios and laughing, and we started playing games. She's fine." So I realized, you know what? Their misery is short lived as long as you have a caregiver there. And so the other thing is that I just want women to say, guess what? Dispense with the guilt. We put so much guilt on ourselves around this. And your children will benefit so many times. And I have so many women that have made it through, and their kids have actually benefited from the fact that they had interesting jobs and they knew interesting people, and they could inform their children about things that maybe they never would have if they had not taken that leap to be out in business or start their own companies or be a part of another corporation. So dispense with the guilt and then talk to your kids about what you do. I have a phrase that says, don't separate work from family. You need to tell them when you come home in the afternoon or when you get together about what your day was like. And you don't have to tell them all the gory details, but I've shared with my children the good and the bad. And if I wanted a new piece of business, we'd all go out and get ice cream. And so they saw the ups and downs of what it was like to run a business. And it really paid off in the end because they understood me better and why I was doing it.
You are such a successful entrepreneur. You are a mompreneur. You are a best-selling author. You're a cowgirl.
Yes.
And an artist. What's next for you?
Well, what's next is, at some point you have to say, what am I going to do to really make a difference? And I've tried to make a difference in every footprint I've been in all these years. And you can see I'm in my art studio right now. I'm in a gallery that I built, and I've been very successful returning to my roots as an artist and selling art all over the world. And it's been a lot of fun doing that. And especially during this pandemic, I poured my heart and soul into a few things. And one of them was my painting. But the big news I have is that you want to pay it back sometimes. And I've watched women struggle, especially during the COVID pandemic, to balance, which we're all talking about, being a mom, taking care of elderly parents, trying to make it to the office or try to be on all those calls and do the things you have to do. And it's hard. And so I'm partnering with the University of Texas and a very good friend of mine who's a corporate giant, Lynn Utter, and we're going to offer a very hands-on, real-world leadership training program that kicks off in the fall at the University of Texas in Austin. And I'm so proud to be working with them. I'm a big Longhorn and excited to be back on campus, but we're hoping to make a big difference. We want to take women with 5+ years of experience, at least 5+, who are already on a leadership track, but they need that courage, the real world experience, the advice, the strategies, the negotiation powers, and all the things you have to take it up the next notch. And so we will be offering this to 40 to 50 women. And the application can now be found. We can make sure everybody knows how to get there, but it's at the McCombs Business School site. It's called Women Who Mean Business.
Gay Gaddis, thank you so much for your time today. If they want to find you, reach you, buy your book, what do they need to do?
Just go to gaygaddis.com, and it's spelled Gaddis. Sometimes we get confused on our spelling, but www.gaygaddis.com, and you've got it all. It's got everything from art to leadership training to books to whatever else I'm up to at that given moment.
Oh my goodness.